If you are a Microsoft Teams admin or a power user who is piping third-party alerts into Microsoft Teams channels, you probably got this alert. Or you notice something was different and you notice the option wasn't even there in the new Teams client. Or lastly, you watched my other video on how you get text messages into Teams and notice that whole automation workflow doesn't work anymore. Hello everyone, my name is Terry, and today we're going to go over the new Microsoft Teams workflows for webhooks, show you how to create new ones or fix your broken or soon to be broken webhooks depending upon when you watch this video. First, I'm going to go over the old way that we would configure webhooks in Teams just to make sure we're all on the same page. This process worked for the last 7 years, so of course Microsoft had to change it. Then I will go through my process, start to finish, on how you configure webhooks with adaptive cards. In this process, I'll be using two examples. One, a super basic webhook coming from a Synology NAS, and then a complicated example of getting a webhook from Jira. Let's dive into it. Originally from 2017 through August of 2024, if you wanted to add a webhook or compatible Office 365 connector to a team, all you had to do as a team owner was go to the team in Teams, select the channel you wanted the alert to go into, right click on it, select connectors, take an incoming webhook, give it a name, change the logo, click save. This would push a URL that you just pasted into your application of choice, and you were essentially done, minus any customizations that the platform supported. These alerts relied heavily upon the source platform's customization options. Because of that, they were primarily text-based, pretty basic looking, and also locked to only going to a single Teams channel. But on the positive side, they're stupidly simple to set up, and they would avoid the common email tune-out issues that most IT pros or knowledge workers face sometime in their career. During this time, if you wanted more flexibility, you would have to upgrade to Power Automate Premium to get the incoming webhook that you could use for any Microsoft service. And then you would have to build everything from scratch on where you wanted alerts to go and what to do. But obviously that is way more work than just a simple copy and paste of a URL. Fast forward to today, if you start rebuilding what you had previously underneath the new workflow apps and Teams, it's really just Power Automate with an extra filter that the workflow app is essentially forcing you to create an adaptive card for your webhook alerts. And why not? IT Glue, Jira, SolarWinds, all those alerts deserve to be pretty. All jokes aside, creating adaptive cards is definitely a skill level up from just text-based alerts previously. Don't worry, I created 2 adaptive card templates that are linked down below and are available on my GitHub as well. Along with the 2 templates that we'll be using in this video, I will provide all the reference links to Microsoft's documentation on adaptive cards so you can customize the templates to meet your needs. All that I ask is if you find the templates useful, give this video a thumbs up, consider subscribing, and let me know what you think down below. Now let's move over to the computer and go through this process start to finish. First, before we dive into Teams or your application, you're going to need VS Code. It is 10 times easier to edit these adaptive cards in VS Code than it is in Notepad, for example. If you already have it or you went and download, again, links down below. After you get it installed, make sure you have the following 2 extensions added on. Adaptive Card Previewer makes it so you can see what you're building before uploading it. And then Adaptive Card Studio allows you to edit it fully, bring in templates, give you all the syntax, all that fun stuff. For example, this is the code for the adaptive card for our Synology example. And if we want to preview it, you just click on Preview Adaptive Card. Shows you what it looks like, light mode, dark mode, etc. Don't worry about this piece. We'll get to it in a minute. Now that we have VS Code ready, let's go ahead and do our simple configuration of a webhook underneath the workflow app in Teams. With the new workflows app, you kind of ended up in a chicken and the egg scenario because you kind of need all the information at the same time. So this is where my process comes in and makes it very helpful. So for step 1, we are going to go to Power Automate directly. You can kind of just ignore that web or that workflows application inside Teams. I like to have the full desktop available, and you'll see why in a moment. And then while that's loading, we will get logged into the NAS here. And in the NAS, we need to go to notification, webhooks. Here's my demo one from previous. We'll be just recreating it in a moment here. So first and foremost, we need that URL to send the webhook. So how we do that is in Power Automate now, do automated cloud flow. And then on this page, hit skip, because when you search for the trigger, it doesn't show up here, and then you have to give it a new name anyways. So close this Copilot thing too. We'll just hit add trigger, and we can search teams. And you can see now that there's 3 categories for teams. Don't know why Microsoft has it that way, but we need this one down here, the when Teams webhook is received. And we got to change this to anyone. Anyone means inside or outside. You don't need to have any user auth or anything like that, since this is coming from a NAS. Obviously, it's not going to authenticate. And here's the biggest part here. URL will be generated after save. So here's that chicken and the egg. If we start going down the configuration, we don't have that URL yet. We can give us a name, Teams, NAS, alert. And then to be able to save it, we need to put in action in there. So you can search for terminate. It's a control option you could use for error messages long term, but short term, we just need this as a controlled stop for our testing. We'll delete this at the end. So this is all you need. Doesn't matter if you do success or not. It's just error codes in the event logs. So now we have enough to be able to save this alert. So hit save. We have enough to get the URL. So copy it. And now on the NAS side, we will hit add, change this down to Microsoft Teams. And then with the way they do it, you can either put all, or you got to do critical warning default, create your own rules if you've already done it. In this case, I'll just do all. This is all just the base configuration here. So we can say YouTube demo alert for the name. And then here's where we paste in that URL. And if you wanted to change the message that it sends, you can. But in this case, we'll just keep it as default. Hit apply. And you can see right here it's listed. Here's our new alert. And we can send or click on send test message. Now, give us a little more real estate. Bring this over. So that sent an alert to this. Let's see if it came in, or if we did it too fast. Nope, came in just fine. Since webhooks are JSON, it needs to know what the schema is so it can actually process it correctly, and we don't have to worry about doing it because we can just copy and paste. So we click on the run of our test message here that stopped successfully. So we just go down to the body of the message and copy it. Next, we go hit edit. And we click on the plus sign, hit add action. We need to parse JSON. Helps when you spell JSON correctly. On that one. And then it's going to ask for a schema. Well, take one step back here. Content. Click the little lightning bolt. Click on body. So it's the body. What's what we just copied to the clipboard. And then for the schema, since I'm not a web developer, click on use sample payload to generate schema. Paste in the body from that test message. Microsoft's going to reverse engineer it and create a schema for us. We can also test it quickly. Let's go ahead and test it quickly. Save. All right. Hit test. You don't have to trigger it every time. You can do automatically with the previous message. It just goes through and reprocesses it. That's useful if you have an event where it charges you or something like that. So, or if it's really noisy, you don't have to worry about it interfering with things. Click on parse JSON, and then you can see the output is exactly how we expected it. Go ahead and close it. You can edit again, and now here's where we can put in our adaptive card and send it to team. So hit add action and do teams. See more. We got a couple of options here. Post a choice as a flowbot, post adaptive card and wait for a response. We want post card in chat or channel. This is what replaces the end basic alert that you had previously. You can do post as flowbot or as a specific user if you have a service account already, but you just choose channel, chat, or group chat. The process is relatively the same between them. You just have to have the right permissions to be able to access it. So let's hit channel. This is going to ask for team ID, which then is just going to bullet channel notifications, and then here's the hardest part, which isn't really that hard. So now we go back to VS Code, copy, paste. So since I previously backed this up from Power Automate and it's the same vernacular, this does work because nothing changed. But if a verbiage changed or you rename stuff or Synology pushes an update that breaks it, here's how you add it back in. Put your cursor in the parentheses. And then you find a little lightning bolt again. Should be. Oh, and then you click on body text. In this one, I did make a clickable link. I just put it to Synology. You could change this URL and put in the URL to your Synology or whatever you're going to use this template for. That's all you have to do there. Hit save. At this point, we can get rid of this terminate. Probably should have done that before I hit save, but it doesn't matter. Hit save, and now we can test it again. Recent trigger. And now in Teams, we go to the channel, and here is our message. That is roughly 95% of the information that would cover you to do any webhook. Kind of beyond that, it depends more on what the platform is and what data are you getting from your source, and then what are you modifying in Power Automate. Obviously, with that's in Power Automate now, you can actually take it a step further. You can add it into email notifications or branch this workflow out to cover all of your needs instead of just dumping it in a channel. If you don't want it in a channel, you can target specific people or a group chat. So you do have a lot more flexibility without having to get additional licensing. Now let's move on to Jira, which is more complicated just because Jira is more complicated. So the only reason Jira is more complicated because it's just a bigger application. Jira is a very popular project management platform that you can customize very heavily and support multiple different types of project management workflows. Since project management is such a big topic, just in general, I'm going to boil this one down to when a task in Jira is assigned to you. That's the demo of this case here, just because regardless of methodologies, that's pretty universal of when do I want to be alerted when I have to do something. So that's the premise we're working under for our Jira demo here. Because we just did the process on the Synology, I'm going to go a little bit faster here, but the main difference is it'll be Jira, and then I'll also have the automation flow through Power Automate to send it to a specific person versus going to a Teams channel. So we will start with Power Automate first. Again, we'll probably speed through this just to save some time. So now we are to the point where in Jira we got to do stuff. So on this tab, I got to project plan here. That's just base project. Nothing's really in it. But first, before we go any further, we're going to want to click on any of our tasks. It doesn't matter which one for this point. I'm going to take this. This is just purely to make your alerts a little bit prettier and to go directly to the assigned task when you get the notification. Take this, copy it to Notepad off to the side. Second, depending upon your configurations, your email address may or may not be visible for Power Automate to send you the message. So before you go too far, go underneath your account here. Hopefully your admin set this up globally so you don't have to do it, but go underneath contact, switch this to anyone so Power Automate can see your email address in the notification. Now we have to create an automation inside of Jira. So next we'll click on this little lightning bolt thing here where it says automation when you hover over it. And then do create automation. Jira does have a lot of built-in stuff with Teams out of the box. Obviously with Microsoft's new announcement, they're in the process of revamping some of it too. So this is just a DIY, you want to do it yourself. I'm not getting into any of the pre-built stuff that Jira has to offer. For trigger, we are going to want issue assigned. All right. Next, then underneath we'll do then. See, right here we have a few right off the bat, but for Teams and Slack, what we can do, send web message. We're going to keep this on post. For web request body, we're going to flip this down to issue data. And then for that URL, the way they phrase this here, it seems backwards. Back to our webhook, grab our URL, post our URL in here, hit next. And similar to Power Automate, within Jira, you can build this logic tree out as much as you want, but this is a basic, all you need to send a webhook to Power Automate / Teams for when you have an issue assigned. So we will go ahead and turn on the rule, YouTube video rule, helps if I can spell again, turn on. All right, I'm going to go to our project demo here, and I'm going to create a new issue. Fix the super important thing. Create. Currently not assigned to anybody. Let's add a description here. Real quick. Management is pissed that the flux capacitor is broken. More typos. There we go. And then hit save. And right now it still says unassigned. For this example, to assigned to me. And then that should have kicked off a flow to send us an alert. We go back to Power Automate. Back. Oh, helps. There we go. It failed successfully. I will grab our body of the message. As you can see, this is much longer than the Synology NAS one. Go ahead and copy that. Hit edit. Now if we add our JSON, what, 3 for 3 on typos there. Content, the lightning bolt. Grab the body, generate. See, this is much longer than the other one, but the plus side is once it processes all of this, it becomes usable. And since I forgot to give this a nice name, Jira assignment notifications. That's nicer to read than manual caret terminate. Also, what we're going to do, because this is such a long output, I'm just going to create and paste that body in here. VS Code should pick up that it is JSON and start highlighting it, make it a little bit easier to read. But this is where we get in depth of the issue of it. So up top here, we see the task ID, see all of the links to everything. But then as you go through it, is it a part of the bigger project? Is it a task list? Right here, Epic should be used if you're doing that type of management. There's a lot to go through here. In the template, you can see I already have the description, summary name. This is all just the default settings here, so you can reverse engineer it. So there could just be a little bit of testing that you'll have to do, which is fine. It's just a part of a custom solution like this. All right, so let's see or show how this all links up here. We're gonna go to our adaptive card here. And then we're gonna go Control C, and then Control V into Power. Now to add our post to adaptive card here. Add action, post card. Post card in chat or channel, post as Flowbot, chat with Flowbot, and just get this off the clipboard. I'll go through the variables here in a second, but first, for recipient, we're going to want to switch this to advanced mode because we're going to get the email address out of the parse JSON instead of looking up in the user directory. Click the lightning bolt, parse JSON, see more. And this is where you can start to see some of the duplicates for names and email addresses. And this is where my GoPro overheated. So I apologize for the audio change here and the blip out of the video, but since we're almost done, I'm just gonna finish this up here without a screen. Don't buy a GoPro for YouTube. This is in the hierarchy of where it shows up in VS Code. So if we open this up here, we need to go back to our test output here and find the correct body location for this here. We need underneath assignee email address. This is what we want right here. Let's see if we can narrow it down a little bit. We add it and hover over it. Yep, there you go. If we hover over, it shows it's underneath the assignee. Perfect. Usually it's in literal order from the code. And same with all these variables. I'm not going to clear them out and redo them, but here's project name hyphen the summary of the task, the description of the task, and then the key, which is the task ID from Jira. I just have it linked in here, so then the URL can be used. So go back to your clipboard, paste in the URL, and then you have to add this question mark selected issue equals, and then the key from our other VS Code screen will work. So now that we have all that stuff in there, we'll clean this up a little bit. Delete. Save. Test. Automatically with recently used trigger. Use that one. And that's done. So if we flip back to Teams, we can see we have a chat. Go to chat, work cards, right here, Jira assignment, demo project. So we got our project name. Here's the summary of the task. Here's that description about the flux capacitor. And then here is our click here link where's my typo? I see the issue. So if right here, I have, I put in a placeholder name so my Jira tenant wouldn't be stamped across this template that I provided out there. So let's go fix that real quick. New one just popped in. Click here. There we go. That's a working Jira connection. Thank you all for watching. Just as a quick recap here, first we went over the current issue of Microsoft replacing a perfectly functioning notification platform with something new after 7 years. Then we went into how to set up VS Code to be the most useful tool to develop adaptive cards for your webhooks. After that, we just dived into 2 examples with the templates I created. One was the Synology NAS with a very basic configuration, and then one was parsing all of Jira to mine out all the information that you need in a card for your use cases. As I mentioned previously, links to the templates, the reference information, all of our social medias, all the ways to support this channel are linked down below in the description. While you're down there, if you could give this video a thumbs up, possibly consider subscribing and share it with a friend, that would be awesome. And until next time, bye now.